So in this practice of meditation, we are learning life skills, skills that are developed in the laboratory of the meditation process, which can then be applied in the wider world. So how we relate to the present moment, how we relate to the breath in meditation is creating a new habit, a new, more healthy way of relating to our life in whatever circumstance we may find ourselves. So we're creating a template for our life. So we approach the breath with an interest, an open-minded interest. We don't need it to be a particular way. But we're going to be open and aware and sensitive to however the breath might be. Our task is to sustain that sense of bright, calm sensitivity to the truth of the breath. We're constantly observing what makes it easier, what makes it more difficult. We will find beginnings easier than endings. The beginning of a breath is much more easy to be aware of, and the middle and the end of the breath is something new. It's a something. So the challenge is to be able to sustain that same quality of awareness as the breath changes, as the in-breath fades away, or as the out-breath fades away. In particular, as the breath becomes longer and more subtle, then is the challenge of sustaining awareness becomes even more. If the out-breath becomes very long and subtle, then we have to increase our effort at that particular point, that particular phase of the breath. So often the in-breath can be relatively short and relatively easy to be mindful of, but that with the longer, drawn out, more subtle out-breath, the mind is more likely to lose its bearings. So we can be more relaxed on the in-breath and put more effort into the out-breath. If your breath is a different to that, then adapt accordingly. But in this balance of effort and relaxation, then find ways of adapting the intensity of the effort to fit with the clarity or the lack of clarity or the coarseness or the subtlety of the object. So sampajanya, clear comprehension, is that quality which is monitoring the effort, the quality of the effort, the intensity of the effort. It's monitoring the mindfulness. So if you putting forth a certain intensity of effort, then it can become an automatic kind of process without that clarity and wakefulness. And then as the mind, as the breath changes, then the object is lost. So you need that kind of flexibility and fluency of mind where you can be tweaking the attention accordingly. Be particularly sensitive to the dullness of mind that can arise. Observe that very closely so that you become sensitive to the change in the quality of the awareness. As that dullness first starts to appear in the mind, then you're warned by mindfulness. Mindfulness remembers and brings that to mind. And learn to find ways of bringing joy into the mind, bringing energy into the mind. And the skills of a meditator, knowing how to calm the mind when it's too energetic, and knowing how to energize the mind when it becomes dull. This is only learned through trial and error, through making mistakes and learning from them. So taking one breath at a time. Every breath, a new breath. It's like the potter and the pot. Each new pot, the potter tries to mold and work with in the best possible way. Every breath we start again, giving it that interest and care, awareness, clarity of mind, having that firmness of intention and yet a lightness and a brightness in the mind.